Batman Arkham Asylum, a game that formed many a childhood, including my own. I remember going to the mall and I saw the Game of the Year award slapped on that thing's cover. And I saw Batman he was just standing there. You know, he's got the moon in the background, he's just looking at you and he's kind of mogging you a little bit. And I knew I had to have that game. And oh, I got that game. And let me tell you, if there's one hyper obsession that I have, it's Batman. And this game, in no small part, caused that. So I think we should talk about it. Now, we all have nostalgia for this game. We all think it's absolutely perfect. And it's the greatest game ever. It's pretty damn close. But, taking off the nostalgia glasses, there are a couple things wrong with it. But there's also so many things right. So obviously, getting into Batman Arkham Asylum, I think the first thing everybody talks about is the gameplay. And of course, why would you not? I mean, it literally like spawned its own gameplay style. The Arkham play style is, I mean, it's like God of War, like the early God of War games took on their own life, you know, or like it's like the God of War gameplay had its own kid, and then that kid grew up into Arkham, you know, so it's like not quite God of War, you know, the camera's more over the shoulder and stuff like that, and it's more like a tracking gameplay. Anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay is just, it's so close to, like, it is such a strong foundation in this game that just grows in the next two games. But I think, you know, obviously it's amazing in Arkham Knight and it's very good in Arkham City. But we're talking about this game. It is so strong, and it was such a strong foundation for this, like, this new franchise that was coming out. Rocksteady came and they kicked some ass. Like the gameplay is so good. That doesn't mean it doesn't have its faults, but we'll get on to that later. But I mean, like, this game, there's so much you can do. Obviously, you're playing as Batman. There's so many different gadgets you can use. I think first of all we should like talk about stealth, because like a lot of, I'd say like 75% of these games are stealth. Why wouldn't they be? Sometimes you get into like a big group of people and then it's like an all-out brawl type thing or a boss battle. But a lot of the times it's stealth gameplay, setting up things. Sometimes you just pick them off one at a time. I think this game has, especially when it comes to the stealth gameplay, it's like really easy to jump in, but when you master it, that's when it really gets fun. When you start setting up things with gadgets like the gel, or like distracting bunch of guards to the same place, etc., etc. So like obviously the sneaking is good in this game, obviously, but like even just the big brawls, when you're 1v10ing, 1v15ing, like all these inmates and stuff like that. Oh man, it just feels it. There's something about it. There's something about it, and it's no wonder that this game succeeded so well, because it, at the time when it came out, I mean, it was so fluid and new, and it felt so great to just like kick 30 dudes in the face and then you walk away and you're like,
Yeah, I'm Batman.
yeah, I'm Batman. And you're like, you felt like Batman. But that wasn't, that's only half of the gameplay. The other half of the gameplay, obviously there was a leveling system. You'd unlock new kind of combos and stuff like that. And coming back to this game, so I was probably one of many people that played this game for the first time as a kid. And like I didn't pay attention to the leveling system at all. It was like walk into a room, punch people, sneak around. But like there's actually a surprising amount you can do in this game, and there's stuff in this game that doesn't even translate to the other games. I really wish that that one move where you literally just pick up an inmate and throw them at another dude went into the next two games. Maybe it's in Arkham City. I haven't played the game in a little bit. That might be a video that's coming up. Anyway, but the leveling system was surprising to me when I came back to this game. Obviously I replayed it and replayed it and replayed it as a kid, but I came back to it after 3 or 4 years, and I was like, wow, I was missing out. But like, this last playthrough I did, I mean, I got all these different levels and stuff, and it really just unlocks your playstyle even more, and it's just great. But again, that's only 75% of the gameplay. The other 25%, this game is a platformer. This game is a platformer. And it's like, there's sections of this game that really make you think when you are platforming, and they're done well. Obviously, they expand on them in the next two games. I've said that. I could say that about this whole game. But like for what they did here, they were like, okay, I'm gonna make a Batman game, have it stealth oriented, beat 'em up style, and yeah. Also, give it platforming sections and make them good. And they do. They make them really good. Like, I mean, the best example of them is the Scarecrow levels. They're side-scrolling platformers. And they're awesome. We'll talk more about the Scarecrow things later. But like, yeah, I mean, it was great. They're great. And it feels really good to revisit that section of the game and remember, like, of course you have the nostalgia glasses on, but like, even if I was playing this game for the first time, like, I would think from an objective standpoint, yeah, these are pretty damn good platforming sections. I'm really happy with these. So that's another like 15% of the game. That last 10% is like a detective reconstruction thing. And okay, they're just good. They're just good. This whole game, the gameplay is just good. And it's really like, I love this game so much, obviously. But the detective modes, and it makes you like, there's like tracking parts. My favorite has always been like the reconstruction of things in these games, finding the little tiny details. It's just great. The gameplay in this game is so stupendous. Although, since this was the first step into territory, there are a couple bugs that weren't tweaked out until they really got into it. This game's gameplay can at times feel stiff compared to, like, I'm talking about like these are in like the big brawls, Batman kind of locks up, compared to when you're playing Arkham Knight and you're flowing like water. I mean, the gameplay in those two games are just so buttery. This game, it's like the butter hasn't quite melted yet. But when it does, it's great. It's great. It just freezes up a little sometimes. Other than that, I mean, this game's gameplay is perfect. It literally started its own kind of genre of gameplay, if that makes sense. I can't praise it enough. I think with the gameplay, you also go into level design. And the level design in this game is it's just peak. I can't explain it any other way. It's Metroidvania. I love Metroidvania style level design. There's so many games that have Metroidvania style level design that are just like, there are a lot of my favorite games are that. Dark Souls, for example. I think Dark Souls, I could talk about Dark Souls all day. That's for a completely different video. We will do that we'll do that later on. Okay, I got ideas. Anyway, Arkham Asylum, Metroidvania. There's so many things to like about the level design. There's areas and little sections in this game. I would say this game definitely is more Metroidvania than the other two, because you're in the most enclosed kind of space. You got to go back and forth quite a bit. But like you're walking through, and every time you go back into an area, something is different. And I think that's what really makes it still feel fresh while you're playing the game, and it's just great. It's great. The level design is just, I love it. It feels so fitting. It just fits the game, if that makes sense. You can't talk about Arkham Asylum without talking about its environment. This game definitely has the most like creepy environment of the three. Obviously, you're in an asylum. Of course, it's going to be creepy. But I mean, this one really, you can tell it was made with like, oh, kind of creep them out in mind. That's because in no small part, this game's development process had one of the creators of A Serious House on A Serious Earth on it. I mean, that's one of the greatest Batman stories ever. No wonder it feels like that. No wonder you walk outside and it's just like gloomy green and stuff, and there's so much like, you kind of feel grossed out, but you're kind of creeped out. And then, you go into these like wards, these asylum wards and stuff, and there's all these fluorescent lights going off, the blinking fluorescent lights going off. And this game just has so much personality in its environment alone that it makes it such an eye-catching thing when you're going through it. There's when you get into like the really insane asylum, and it feels like, oh man, when I was a kid, no, dude, no, man, I didn't want to do that at all. It scared the crap out of me. I hated it. I hated it so much. Now we can talk about other things I hated when I was a kid, because they also bleed into this environment. The scarecrow section, the first scarecrow section, I considered not playing when I was a kid. I mean, it was terrifying, and it's all in due partially to the environment that it sets you up in while you're walking in there. I mean, it's visual storytelling, of course. It's You walk in there, you're in the like morgue section. It's scary. It was scary, and I understand why I was freaked out as a kid playing it. Um, those sections are so well crafted, especially into like the lead up of them. They kind of come out of nowhere. You turn a corner, everything's different. Everything's changed. I think the best example of that is the part when you're walking through the hallway and you just start turning into young Bruce Wayne, and then it goes through Batman's greatest fear. So just perfect. I love it so much. The one section in this game that I had to quit playing when I was a kid, and I feel like I went back and I beat it again, and I was just like, you beat that, It's the Killer Croc section, dude. I why do you have to like put, you're playing. I understand Killer Croc is scary, but damn, dude, damn, so much anxiety while you're playing that section. It's like because he just jumps out of nowhere. Obviously now it's like, yep, okay, he jumped out third time, just throw the batarang at him. But when I was a wee lad, hell no, I wasn't gonna do that. No, man, not as a kid. I checked out then and there. Now, I was cutting myself off of the game at like the 75% point, but that's neither here nor there. The game scared me enough to quit playing as a kid, and yeah, I think that just lends a lot of credence to this game's environmental storytelling, which goes into graphics. This game's graphics still hold up like pretty heavily, especially in the cutscenes. I mean, they look so good still, and I love like This game's graphics and art design hold up so well 12, 13 years later. And it's like, yeah, they cooked with it, and they such a good job on like the little details, making things look grimy. The graphics in this game still hold up to a T. The last thing, I think overall, um, I mean, this game is perfect, and even the story falls into how good this game actually is because it feels like a comic book. Um, Obviously not like the kooky part of the comic book. This is like a like good written graphic novel. You know, obviously again, a serious house on a serious earth. Of course, it's gonna be good. Um, but I mean, that's one thing that makes the Arkham games so well regarded. I mean, there's such a good story behind all three games, especially Arkham Asylum. It's a simple story. Joker breaks out of jail, told 100,000 times, but you being at the breakout, you being in the middle of the breakout and just trying to contain it there, and having to go through all. I mean, because it's not just Joker breaking out; it's Bane, it's Poison Ivy, it's Harley Quinn. Of course, like there's something different about being in the middle of it and playing through this breakout and stopping it at the place he's broken out of and just taking over. Um, and I think that's the thing that makes this really like unique. Joker breaks out, he leaves. Joker breaks out, he takes the asylum over. I think that's perfect idea. We've all played the game. I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's just perfect. Now, on to my complaints for the game, because there's very little, but they are there. The bosses in this game kind of suck. Um, Harley Quinn is just literally beat up guys. The floor is lava. Uh, Poison Ivy is just LT, 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 LT. I hate that boss fight. It's literally just battering spam for like 10 minutes. And of course, the Joker. The Joker boss fight. Come on, you guys. Come on, you guys. Really? Really? It was this whole game, this whole build up, and you fight Joker with a mohawk, and it's the easiest boss fight on the planet. And wow. Wow, that was anticlimactic. Because you don't even really fight him. You dodge him for like. You dodge him 3 times, then you pull him down, and just punch him in the face. That's it. That's it. And it's not even hard. It's really not hard. And my only other complaint is really that like the gameplay does feel stiff at times, but I feel like that's more of a product of this game being the first of its kind. But yeah, I mean, obviously I have a bit of a biased opinion, but this game really is like good, and it there's no wonder it's held as high as it is in so many people's minds for nostalgia, for their thoughts on the gameplay, for their thoughts on what it spawned as like a game and spawning that style of gameplay. This game is what I can describe as one of the strongest concrete foundations for a franchise ever. Sometimes like you play a first game and you're like, yeah, wow, I can't believe this kicked off as much as it did, because the gameplay is really not as amazing as the other games, like by a long shot. But this one, I mean, it holds up. It stacks up. And if you haven't played Arkham Asylum, which, what are you doing with your life? Go play this game. Like, but if you haven't played Arkham Asylum, you're going to go into it and it's going to still feel fresh and like a polished experience. And that's just what this game feels like. It feels polished and it feels like an experience. Those are my end thoughts, pretty much. Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for watching. If you guys got to the end, I appreciate it. Also, I got like 60 views on my first video. Uh, 60 on my first one? That feels so cool. Like, I'm so happy about that. And I just appreciate it very much. And I hope you guys continue to enjoy this content. If you guys have any suggestions, just let me know. I want to do a video, my next two videos. The next one's gonna be, actually, I'm gonna keep it a bit of a surprise, but it is Transformers related. But after that, I want to do like Gears of War 1. I would love to revisit Gears of War 1. I've gotten recommended to play Chrono Trigger for the first time. I would love to play again. I want to do obscure games too, like, oh man, Transformers animated for the DS, like stuff like that, weird stuff. Anyway, uh, if you guys have any recommendations, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. I will definitely respond. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye bye. Okay, I forgot one thing. That segment where they make it look like your screen is all bugging out. Why'd you gotta do that to me when I was like 8? Why? Well, I genuinely thought my Xbox exploded when I played that stuff. And Rocksteady, that was not cool, man, because you don't do it in any of the other two games. That's all. I'm out.